There we go.
Excellent. All right.
Well, we wanted to welcome you to what we're calling How to Start Writing Your Book Now. And we are very happy to have you with us because you might want to start writing your book now, even if you tried 10 years ago. Now, what we'd like to do is we've already chatted, so usually we tell people to put in the chat where they live and how they heard about the webinar. Why don't you just put that in the chat? Did you hear of us on LinkedIn or word of mouth or email or something like that? And just gives us a little bit of more context to know. Let me see if I open my chat here. Okay, yeah, and just can you all see where the chat is down below? Sometimes your Zoom window doesn't always have chat and you have to click on more. Okay, you saw it on LinkedIn, Barb. Good. Jody, I think you found it on LinkedIn also. Good. Okay, great. So I'm going to just introduce myself. I'm Andrea Susan Glass. I'm one of the hosts for today's webinar.
Yep. And I am Trevor Singleton, and I'm one of the hosts for today's webinar. Good to have you all. All right. And looks like we're covering both coasts from the east to the west. Excellent. Sunrise in the east, but sets in the west. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to share the screen and let's get going. All right. Okay, wonderful. So now that we have that, we're going to get started. So as I says, I'm Trevor Singleton. And for those who don't know, Andrea is the best-selling author of Your Fabulous First Book and a companion, My Fabulous First Book. So I want to thank you all for attending. So let's get started. And if you can see the slides, just be sure, if you cannot see the slides, type no. But if you can, put a Y in the chat. Yes, you can see it. All right. All right, so let's jump right in then. Let me ask you all a question. Now, is there a book you think about writing? One that is yet to come out? And prior to that, we were talking just about that. Many of us have a number of titles that we have inside of us, but we have yet to write it. So the interesting stat is this: did you know that 81% of people polled say they want to write a book, but only 1% ever do?
That's a lot of people who don't write books.
I know. The question is, how do we become among the 1%? So Andrew and I, we know you want to write a book, but you're stuck somewhere along the path, and that's why you're here with us. We're going to find out what's keeping you from achieving that goal of writing your book. So two things we're going to cover. First, we'll share the most common reasons you may not have written your book. And second, we'll offer solutions that have worked for us and our clients. Now, what we're sharing today will be a powerful catalyst for you to start writing your book. All right. So what you want to do is also make sure you stay with us to the end. We have a special offer that you don't want to miss.
Now, I just wanted to say that we're really happy to have you be involved. And so if you have any questions, post them in the chat. We'll have to answer them at the end because Trevor and I have to keep the technology going. But we will involve you in some ways and we'll ask you to participate in the chat. Before we get going, I know some of you know me and some of you know Trevor, but we're going to give you just a quick little background. Because maybe you don't know what I'm doing today since we haven't seen each other for a while. Today, I'm a nonfiction book coach and university instructor. So I work with first-time nonfiction authors and help them write their book, and I teach several classes for the University of California. I am hosting this webinar today, and we're hosting this webinar together because we have been where you are. Now I'm a two-time best-selling author, and Trevor's on his way there. But it wasn't always this way. See, for years, I was going from one job to the next, one business to the next, and I knew I wanted to have a career in writing, but my educational path took that practical turn. You've got to do something to make money. You can't make money writing books. So what I did was other things. I had lots of different jobs. But then I self-published a book a few years ago because I thought, maybe I can do this. But I found out I wasn't very good at selling books. So I decided to become a ghostwriter because that way I would get paid up front and I could still write. But now it's been 22 years that I've been writing and editing books for other people. And I finally decided the time has come to write my own books. So I was taking this workshop on creating online courses because that's ultimately what I'd like to do. And my teacher said, if you want to sell courses on how to write books, you need to be a published best-selling author. Well, I finally knew it was time. So I had to make the time. We have to find the time, we have to make the time, we have to choose the time to work on the book. So what I did was I created some accountability partners, other writers, and it helped me stay on track. And in 2021, I published my first and second books. Now, I just want to say that if I had coaches like Trevor and me, who are both coaches, or a program like the one that we're going to tell you about today, because we did create a program to help first-time authors, I probably would have written my book a lot sooner. I had to overcome what we call the codes, and that's what we're going to be telling you about today, in order to reach my dream of becoming a best-selling author.
Thanks, Andrea. Great story, great story. And of course, I always say congratulations, best-selling author. All right, so great. So now just a little bit about myself. I'm an accountability coach and the author of the soon-to-be published Doorways of Life, which actually goes on pre-sale December 17th and will be published on my birthday, December 31st. All right, so look out for a place near you. Now, initially, I had struggled with getting into the mindset and the habit of writing. Of course, like many of us, had numerous titles, got a tons of titles. I know many of us have them, but not the process of really pen to paper and words to sentences. So I began to put posts on a few platforms and I started to engage via video. As I became more diligent in my postings, I started a theme called the Doorway series. Now, first I had a few ideas for that and I put them out there, but ultimately I ended up with 14 videos on that theme, the Doorway series. And so I was talking it over with my coach, and just to let you know, I do have a few coaches. We came up with the idea of transcribing the videos and putting them into a book. So, and once I did that, I was amazed at what I had after that. I had a table of contents and subject matter, which was very cool. Because as I added to the words, it started flowing, because when you think of a writer, you think of just sitting down at the laptop and typing away. But being able to transcribe that, it's a huge benefit for me. I had a table of contents, had subject matter, and then after that, it was just filling in the gaps. So I had that foundation to build on. And so now, as I said, I'm just days away from being a published author.
And that's very exciting because Trevor's seen what I've gone through, and I've been able to help him go through that because there's a learning curve. And we're going to show you a little bit about what that's about today. But now it's your turn to write your first book. So if you're ready, put a yes in the chat.
Mm-hmm. All right, put the yes in, putting yeses. All right, everybody's ready. Good, all right. I know I'm ready, let's go.
Yeah, well, today what we're going to do is help you solve the most common reasons. And I see you put a few of those in the chat already. Something is stopping you from writing your book if you have not written it yet and you want to. Now, I came up with the term codes, CODE, which stands for challenges, obstacles, distractions, and excuses. And the codes that follow that we're going to talk about today, the ones we come across most often. If any of these sound like you, when we get to them, we're going to ask you to put that number in the chat. And you'll probably find that there's more than one, because I know Trevor and I have both come up with a lot of these that have stopped us. But luckily, we have some solutions for you. So Trevor, take it away.
Excellent. All right. I'm going to go through the list. There's 10. We're going to go through each one. And remember, after this, you will receive a replay of the webinar. So we thank you so much. So if you miss anything, we'll have a Q&A and you'll have the replay at your disposal. All right. So now here's the list of codes that we're going to unpack today. Number one, not knowing how to get started. 2, self-doubt and lack of confidence. 3, analysis paralysis, procrastination. 4, lack of support and accountability. 5, distractions, discipline, staying focused. 6, not enough time, higher priorities. 7, fears, loss of the familiar. 8, too few or too many ideas, getting organized. 9, overwhelmed, so many details to learn. And 10, perfectionism.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff holding us back, isn't it? And believe me, I've been wanting to write a book for over 30 years before I wrote my first book. So I'm definitely in a bunch of these. So we're going to go to code number 1, and this is not knowing how to get started. So think about this. You've never written a book before, and you don't know the process. Believe me, there is a process. And that's why it's a challenge for you to know how to get started. Also, you might not be clear about all the aspects of the book. You know, sometimes we don't know the title, or we don't know exactly what we're going to put in the book, or we don't know who we're writing for. So if this feels like one of your codes, put a number 1 in the chat, not knowing how to get started. Okay, now here are some solutions. I'm a book coach, and when I work with authors to clarify the 5 areas of their book, it helps them know how to start. In my book, Your Fabulous First Book, I talk about these 5 areas of clarity. I call them author aspiration, that's knowing why you're writing the book; reader results, that's why the reader would read the book; best buyer, that's who's going to buy your book; smart subject, that's the actual niche area of the subject matter you're going to write about; and overall objective, which means, are you going to write just one book? Are you planning a series? So you need to have the big picture. Now, once you have clarity in these 5 areas, you'll be amazed how much easier it is to get going on writing the book. The next thing is you have to educate yourself on the book writing process. It's just like anything else you learn. You can learn what is involved from what I call from idea to Amazon. Now, I found the best resources I could with classes or ebooks, and you can also get support from someone like Trevor or me. We are coaches, and we do offer that kind of support. Now, I just want to give you a quick testimonial. One of my clients suffered from this code. She'd never written a book before, and she really had no idea how to begin. So she found me, and she reached out and said, "How can you help me get started?" And this is what she said. "Andrea, I am so grateful I found you. I learned a lot from you during our coaching sessions. I don't think you realize the extent to which you set me up for success. You established a very strong foundation for me for a successful book. Sylvia Molino is the author of Supportive Accountability, and it went on to be a bestseller."
Excellent. That's a great testimonial. And it's one of those things where once you know your code, you know what the challenge is, then you're able to handle that. So that's a good thing there. All right. So we're going to move on to code number 2, self-doubt, lack of confidence. All right. So now code number 2. Now, this particular code, it takes on different forms. For instance, you might think that because you've never had anything published, you may not be a good enough writer. You might also think that since you're not a well-known expert in your field, that no one may take you seriously as an author. Some people with this code may lack confidence in their topic and just don't know what to write about. And you might have a little confidence in marketing since you've never sold a product. Now, if this is your code, put a 2 in the chat if you can relate, all right? Because there are those that don't have it, but yeah, we can do that, all right? So let's move on to some solutions. Now, everything I just named, that's a lot of doubt, and we get it. Definitely we do. Now, as first-time author, we know that this game here, it's all new to you. So here's some solutions. If you don't feel that you're a good enough writer, you can get into a class or a group facilitated by a book coach, so that in that class, you'll get feedback and critique from others that are like-minded. Now, this is one of the best ways to improve your writing. Don't let not being an expert in your field keep you from writing your book. Here's the reason why. Now, hope you're paying attention. Once you write a book, you become known as an expert. That's what a book will do for you. It makes you an expert. It brings you up there, and it now puts you out there as someone that's key in their field that people can go to. Right? So that's one of the things that a book will do. For anyone that lacks confidence in their topic in marketing, what you can do is read Andrea's 2 books. Coincidentally, they're a bonus to you when you join our program. Now, your confidence in your topic will come from your research. Your marketing will develop as you build your presence online and off. That confidence grows from doing and really not before. So I want to encourage you, stay confident in what you're doing.
Yes, I teach a class for UCSG, and a lot of my students say, I'm not confident because I've never done it before. And the truth is, nobody's confident until they do something, and you take baby steps, and confidence will grow. But it comes from doing, not from, before you do anything. So don't worry about that. It's going to happen. Now, the third code we call analysis, paralysis, and procrastination. Does this sound like you? I'm sure a lot of us fit into this. Sometimes you can get stuck doing research. And the research that I refer to is we often need to check out the competition before we write our book, see what else is out there. And we also want to look up some keywords because Amazon wants you to have some keywords. And this is part of your research. You might find yourself going down the Amazon or the YouTube black hole. That's what I call it, because I can get lost, and I'm sure a lot of us get lost on YouTube especially. But maybe you have a little bit more research to do, and then you'll start writing. But that you can't let that stop you. See, procrastination is also an outcome of over analyzing the facts before you start to write. It's like, I have to do this before I can start. I have to learn this. And you can't let having to learn something stop you. You have to take that step forward. So if you feel like you're one of those procrastinators, put a 3 in the chat. And I'll have to give you a couple of seconds because procrastinators are a little bit slow on getting out there. They procrastinate. Is that me? Am I a 3?
Yeah, we may do it when we get past some other codes.
Right. Well, here's a few solutions for this code of analysis, paralysis, and procrastination. I talk about the fact that you need to do some of the research, and sometimes you're going to look on Amazon or Google for keywords. You're going to do interviews, you might do surveys, but you need to set specific goals and time periods for your research, and don't put off your writing until all your research is complete. I'm working on a book right now where I have some interviews that I want to do, but I'm continuing to write, and then I set time aside specifically for the research and the interviewing, aside from the writing. Now, I have to say that procrastination has many roots, not just a symptom of analysis paralysis. Sometimes it can be just bad habits, or it could be that you're not really fully committed to writing your book. Honestly, we all know that if there's something we really want to do, we do it. So when we procrastinate, we might not be fully committed to the task at hand. So some of the codes that you're learning about today, all 10 of them, could possibly be the cause of your procrastination. So by the end of this webinar, you might have some insight into what's stopping you and what's keeping you from moving forward.
Yep, that's a great point. Great point. So we've got some more. So let's jump into code number 4. So here's a question. Do those people around you support your goal of writing a book? It's something to think about, because lack of support can also mean that you don't have the best situation in which to write, whether it's location or other factors. And lack of support can mean that when you're stuck, you don't have resources to turn to when you have questions about the process. And lastly, you have no accountability to keep you on track. Now, if this is your code, put a 4 in the chat, because this is a key thing. And we're going to give you some solutions to that. Now, if there's a lack of support from people in your life, this is what you want to do. Pull them aside and take the time to explain to them how committed you are to writing your book, why it's so important to you. Share what you're writing about. That way they can be more invested. Then you want to ask them to honor your writing time and not interrupt you, except for emergencies. when you pull them aside and really speak to them, that sincerity pulls through and they can understand and honor that time that you have. Now, as for needing ideas or guidance, we have several options. Now, the short fix would be to read e-blogs, e-books where you can glean answers to some of your questions. But for more in-depth support, you want to work with a book coach like Andrea or an accountability coach like myself. What we do is we offer structure and support as well as real-time feedback to keep you focused and on track to write during your scheduled times. Now, one of my clients suffered from that code. He said that Trevor has an amazing way of helping people and supporting them. He makes you feel at ease and then helps you figure out what's holding you back and how to fix it. And that's James Fudo, president of JVF Solutions.
That is great. Yeah, there's nothing like support. And so many of us feel like writing is one of these isolated activities that we have to do with no support, no one else around us, and just has to be totally closed off. And for part of your time, that's true. But as we'll see in code number 5, distraction, discipline, and staying focused, you do need to have a distraction-free environment, but that doesn't mean that you don't have support. And so coaches like Trevor and myself, or other writers or writing groups, there is support available. So never feel like this is a lonely solo process. Now, this is one of the most common codes: distractions, discipline, and staying focused. It's really a struggle for first-time authors to have that kind of self-control to sit at a specific amount of time. And I always say, whenever you set aside time, never less than an hour, and probably 2 hours is better because you start to flow, and probably never more than 4 hours because you might burn out. But to stay seated for that amount of time takes some discipline, and you want to minimize and ignore some distractions. So when you have to say no to things like your phone or email or other things on your to-do list, and you have to have this scheduled to stay focused at the task at hand, whether it's writing, research, or editing. And I feel that all of this is underlined by your commitment to say, yes, I want to write the book. And you see how Trevor gave you some dates. He wants to have his book published by a certain date. So when you're committed and you want to stay focused, you have to set dates for yourself and you have to set times. So if you feel like distractions and discipline, lack of discipline is one of your codes, put a 5 in the chat. Okay, great.
A couple of 5s, all right.
Yeah, this is very common. I mean, Trevor always has to remind me to turn off my phone and turn off the email when we're doing live events. We've recorded quite a number of videos, and we're all pretty much addicted to that sort of thing. So we have to set that aside. One of the first actions for you to do is to identify which are your culprits. Might not be the same for everyone. I live in a community, and people might knock on my door because they don't realize that I'm working because they're retired, so you have to identify which it is. If it's families or friend interrupting, you have to say, I'm sorry, I'm writing from 10 to 12 every morning. Please do not come or knock on my door, or put a sign on your door that says writer at work. Now, Trevor and I found that it's important to make appointments with ourselves. So that's why I'm saying, if you're going to write on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 to 12, this is an appointment that you make with yourself that's as important as an appointment you have with the doctor or the dentist or your hairdresser. These are appointments that have to be honored if you want to keep moving forward and create some kind of focus in your life. To minimize the digital distractions, obviously you could turn off your phone and mute your computer when you're writing. But here's the underlying thing. If the reason you're writing the book, that big why, it has to be powerful enough. You have to have some sort of inner motivation that says, this is really important to me. It's important for me to write the book, but it's also important for me, like Barbara, you're talking about, to get that information out there, to share with people what you've learned, what you've experienced, and how they can benefit from it. And every time you think about not working on your book, think about the people who are not getting that benefit that they will get when you write and publish your book. So if you're your motivation, your big why is powerful enough, you will develop the discipline to stick to your schedule. And then, of course, we always suggest have someone hold you accountable. Could be someone like Trevor, who's an accountability coach. And I had a writer friend who, while we were both writing books, we would send each other word counts at the end of the day. And I didn't want her to show me up, so I made sure I got my word count in. So you have to figure out what's going to work for you. But this is definitely a very common code, and it's very important for you to figure out why you're doing it and how you can overcome it.
Gotcha. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Andrea, for that. And it's a powerful thing. You have your big why, which is so key. And also understand too, is that the more you delay, you may be delaying those who are impacted by what you read. So you want to do that and see it as a service, as to those that are going to read your book. All right, so let's move on to the next code, code number 6, not enough time, higher priorities. Now, Andrew and I, we can understand if you're working full-time or you have other full-time commitments, whether you have a business, job, parenting, any of those things. And your time may be limited for writing a book, but however, we've heard from retirees. That's right, retirees who have the same complaint that they don't have time. Now, writing a book may not be high enough on your priority, so you use the excuse of time. So
Yes.
it's a key thing.
It could be an excuse and not a reality.
Right, exactly. So if this is something that you've done, that you can relate to, that has happened to you, where you're working and all that, and it's just not high enough on your priority, put a 6 in the chat. All right, because we know that many times that can be it. All these commitments, where is it on that? All right, so good, so excellent. We've got that on there. All right, now solution. Now, all of these, everything I listed, they're valid codes. They're valid challenges, obstacles, distractions, excuses. Now, the truth is, and Andrea alluded to, you really don't find the time. You don't spend the time and you don't look or anything. You really don't find the time. You make the time. You have to be that creator of it. You have to look at your watch, look at your calendar, and really be forceful about that. With these codes, you have to be honest with yourself and find out what's stopping you from moving forward. Now, if you think about it, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, whether you're a billionaire or whether you work in a factory. Everyone has the same 24 hours. Yet you look at all the books that are online, or you go into Barnes and Nobles, you see all these books on a shelf. Now, all of those authors had other time commitments, but they wrote a book, some more than one. Now, taking this into account, we all partake in about 8 to 14 hours a day of activities and errands and things. They're all based on desire and a sense of urgency. The question becomes, how can you move your dream to write a book higher on your priority list? So here's an idea. Create a time log for 1 week. And we mean a time log, we mean everything. Writing down how long is lunch? What time did you get up? How long were you on the phone? What time did you have fun? How long were you on Netflix, on YouTube, on Facebook? Phone calls. Be very detailed with your time. Once you see that log, it'll begin to really open your eyes on what you really prioritize. And that'll cause you to do some shifting. Once you see that, then you can edit and adjust and make time to write. As Andrew said earlier, you can establish a regular writing schedule. For example, you can say Mondays and Thursdays and Saturdays from 8 to 10, and you make that a habit. Now, you find someone to be your accountability partner. Now, this is not someone that's going to just yes you, that's going to do that. It's somebody that's going to say, why didn't you do it? What's going on? You said you were going to do it. What's up? Because they care. Now, this could be another writer or coach like either one of us. Now, it takes time to build a new habit, so you have to stay consistent with your writing time. Now, here's another tip. Now, do you know that if you wrote 1,000 words at each sitting, 4 days a week, that's 4,000 words, 4 times 1,000. And now, if you did 4,000 words in 1 week, In only 8 weeks, you have a 32,000 word book, which is plenty for your first time. You can also time yourself. I use this for my book. Time yourself and see how long it takes you to dictate 1,000 words. Carry a recorder, download an MP3, record that, and then it can count the words for you. So it's not just sitting down and typing, but you can also be out walking, dictating while you're in your flow, and you'll see that that will be a beneficial way where you can get your words down. So take that as as an excellent tip.
And we're very lucky that we have a lot of different options today. I just got a new computer several months ago, and my new Word has the built-in dictation feature. So I'm working on a book with a client. He came over to my house and he started dictating. And at the end of 1 hour, we had 10,000 words. Can you believe that? I think he was talking pretty fast. So we learned how to slow it down later on because a lot of it was indecipherable. But the idea is that if you want to write, you can time yourself how many words you write in a minute, an hour, or how many words you dictate. And then you get a sense of what you can accomplish, and you start feeling that it's worth it to stick to your schedule because you're really moving forward. Now, code number 7, we call fears or loss of the familiar. How many of you have had different fears in your life? Fear of failure, fear of success. How about fear of no book sales? Nobody's going to buy my book. Or fear of losing the familiar. You know, what you were not an author. Now you're going to become an author. And what does that mean? So you need to get clear on the fears that are stopping you. If you think you have some fears that are holding you back, put a number 7 in the chat.
And don't be afraid to put the number 7 in the chat if that's your fear. You know, and loss of the familiar, we all get comfortable with where we are. You know, so we want to be, and loss of the familiar is just that. You're about to do something you never before. There's no blueprint. So now it's, oh, you know, I'm stepping into territory. So that's what we mean by loss of the familiar. So let's see what we have for the chat. All right. So, okay, we do have some 7. We have a 7 in there. Thank you so much. All right, Andrea.
Yeah, now, I don't know if you've heard this before. A lot of you may have, but fear, F-E-A-R, has also been called fear, false evidence appearing real. That's like an acronym someone made up. And this is what this means. Fear is a projection into the future of something that hasn't happened. Think about something you fear, like failure. If you've had failure before, it might have been in something else, but you've never written a book before. You can't fear the failure of writing a book because you haven't done it. So you're projecting something that hasn't happened. What I suggest is you change your perspective on failure, for example, and see failure as a learning opportunity. We all learn from failure. Otherwise, we would get stopped and we'd never move forward on obtaining a certain goal. Now, if you fear success, I like to say, see success as a new experience, one that you'll really appreciate. For years, I didn't write because honestly, this is my fear. I imagined no one would buy my books. Yet now I'm a 2-time best-selling author. I overcame this fear and didn't let it stop me, because if you look back at past successes, you know that it felt really good when you were successful at something. And the first time you see your book on Amazon, wow, I've never had children, but that felt like a birthing. And if you're like me and you fear no one will buy your book or you'll get bad reviews, you have to realize that you can control some of it, but not all of it. You can control it by asking for reviews, by writing a really good book, learning how to market it, which I had to do. I mean, anyone can learn these things. It's just a skill set you learn. And seeing those 5-star reviews show up. The first time you see a 5-star review, you're going to say, wow, I'm good. I did it. And that confidence will start soaring in. Now, when you say loss of the familiar, we're talking about stepping out of your comfort zone. This is a new path for you, but you have stepped out of your comfort zone in a lot of areas of your life. So if writing a book is what you want to do, just put the fears aside for now. What is that book says, feel the fear and do it anyway. A lot of people, I read about Barbara Streisand, who always fears when she goes on stage, but once she's on stage, she's in her element. and the fear dissipates. And that's what's going to happen for you as you start writing the book and it starts feeling good and you learn more about book selling and marketing, the fears will start to subside. So I beg of you, don't let fear stop you. We hope that by attending the webinar today, you're going to take a step forward and start feeling more comfortable as you navigate new territory. Trevor and I are both coaches, and we are very, very good at helping you turn your fears into learning experience. And we will show you how we do that in the upcoming program we have. So please take an honest look at what your fears are. See if they're real or if they're really just future projections.
True indeed. That's a good point. Thanks for that, Andrea. So now we are on to code number 8, too few or too many ideas getting organized. Now, so this one deals with you either have a lack of content and ideas or too much content. Now, not enough, and you wonder where you're going to find it. Now, too much, and you're stuck with figuring out what to include, what to set aside, what to cut out. Additionally, when you start to either create ideas from your thoughts or gather them from existing content, you may get stuck getting organized and creating structure. So this has been a common complaint among many of the aspiring authors with how do they organize and get things together. So if this is your code, put an 8 in the chat. And so it's the organization, the structure, putting that together. All right, now here comes the solution. So if you have too little material, that's fine. You're just getting started. There are so many nowadays, there are so many sources to find content. There are a lot of things there. One of the first things that you can start with is what they call draining your brain. What that means is taking the time, setting the time to jot down all ideas that come to your book. Just put it down on a notebook. You could even record it, have something that's going to do that. Download an app, everything that you have. You can even, for me, sometimes it's a flip chart. Get a flip chart, write it down, put it up on the wall so that everything you have out there, you can see it. It's visible, it's out there, so that's a good start. Now, once you do that, you can also gather content from past writings you may have done, such as articles, or if you've done a blog post, social media posts, and possibly some website content. Now, and you can also do research to stimulate original ideas. Now, if you're stuck, and if you're stuck because you have too much material, you'll be able to pare it down after you create your table of contents. So this is how you do it. One of the best ways to get organized and create structure is to first create the outline. Once you create the outline, you'll clean it up and produce a table of contents. How you do that is this: you'll place bullet points under each chapter heading. Once you do that, you'll create your structure. Your chapter structure will be semi-firm because you may change it a few times. You can start placing content into the appropriate chapters. Once you do that, the table of contents becomes your placeholder in which to build each chapter. Once you've laid that foundation, then you begin to build. So you're not building on sand, you're building on stone. And trust me, when the weather comes, that building will stand strong.
I always call it create your chapter structure and then just fill in the blanks, because sometimes creating the table of contents is one of the most challenging parts of starting a book. And in the program we're going to tell you about today, that's one of the things that we do for you, is we do create the structure for you. So if you have a challenge with that, don't worry about it. Help is here.
Right, and thank you for everybody that put this in the chat. For the 8s, I didn't acknowledge that. And this is where you get your solutions and your structure. Okay,
good. Well, we're on to code number 9. We're almost there. And I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. How about you? That's what code number 9 is: overwhelm and so many details to learn. And it's true. It's true. I'm working on a book with a client right now, and I'm putting together a task list. And I said, okay, I've got all these things. Did I forget something? So there is a lot. And I have to say that it's kind of a learning curve. Once you've written one book, the next one's going to be easier. The next one, you know how it is when you do something new. So I understand that you do feel overwhelmed. You look at all the books that are out there and you say, oh my gosh, how did all those people figure this out? They must be so much smarter than me. But the truth is, it's a skill, it's a learning. And if you really want to do it, like anything else that you want to do, you sit down and you learn it. So you have to think about the writing, the editing, the cover design, the formatting, the publishing, the marketing. Wow, so many details to learn. And so many contractors you're going to have to find to do the cover and to do the formatting and all of that. So if you feel a little bit of overwhelm on the thought of going forward writing a book, put a 9 in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead and put that 9 in, because that's a lot of people. Remember, that's the writing, the editing, the cover design, the formatting, the publishing, the marketing, the posting, yeah.
The ISBN number, the barcode, the Amazon page. It's a lot there. And we don't want to scare you because we can help you with all this. But the truth is, if overwhelm is your code, let's deal with that. So here's what we say. Some people know how to write, but they don't know how to write a book. And that was me. I'd been writing for a long time, but I'd never gone through the whole writing process. So, you know, you have to see where your learning curve needs to be. Trevor and I had a lot to learn about the details in writing and publishing a book, but I had a really strong drive. Like I said, it's been somewhat around 30 years that I wanted to, and I was finally motivated. But when I was young, I saw myself as a best-selling author. I used to cut out, I lived in New York, and I cut out the New York Times best-selling list, and I would type up my name and paste it on #1. I was told to do that. I had learned from people, you know, visualization and all that. So it's been a long time dream. And that drive helped me overcome the code of not knowing what to do, of having so many details. So I found the resources. I started studying blogs, and I bought a lot of ebooks. My Kindle is full of books on writing and publishing. You can take a program, you know, you can take a program like we have. You can work independently with a coach. You could take an online class. I was going to the local junior college, MiraCosta College, for 10 years to learn my writing skills. So you want to become more familiar with the publishing journey so it doesn't hit you over the head. So you have a sense of, I'm sorry?
Nope, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we want to understand what the journey looks like. And we can help you with all that, you know, where you start, when you just start with the idea, and then where you end up on Amazon. So we'll tell you a little bit about our program and how we can help you with that. But basically, it's just a learning experience. You have to study and learn, and whatever works best for your type of personality, your time, and your budget.
All right, excellent. So now, well, and that's a great tip that you put there. You really need to sometimes be able to physically see yourself as number one. You have to put yourself in that. It's the visualization. The more you see it, the more you pull yourself towards that. You begin to cut out all those things around you that are not aligning with that, and then you focus on what you're there. So as you see it, you pull yourself to it. You begin to get in line with that mindset, with that vision. So that's a good tip. Thanks for sharing that, Andrew. And now we're on to number 10. Thanks for holding it down. Number 10 is perfectionism. Now, some of us have a bit of perfectionism in us, you know, some in one area or another. Now, for example, you may be a perfectionist in keeping your house neat and clean, but you don't take care of your yard. Now, you might be a perfectionist in balancing your personal time with your work schedule. Now, that can be a good trait you can apply to sticking to your writing time. However, it's not a good trait when you're hard on yourself and you don't know how to settle for less than perfect. You know, perfectionism, when it applies to writing a book, is not a good idea. As a matter of fact, it's near impossible. Have you ever read a book from a big time publisher that's out there and you found a few errors? We have. So now, if this is your code, if you can relate to this code, put a 10 in the chat. We've all been there, some tone of perfectionism or not. All right, and thank you for sharing. And so let's go to solution, and you're gonna find out our advice on this. All right, ready? Get close. Give it up. No one is perfect. No one. as we said earlier, we can learn from our mistakes, and that's how we grow. See, the challenge is if you aim to be perfect in anything or all things, you'll be disappointed. Now, it's fine to have expectations, and often if you do the work and have the mindset, we can meet our expectations. You know, what we want to do is to keep up with the standards of indie publishing, which is the current term for self-publishing. You want to have a thoroughly edited book, an attractive cover, and clean format. But your editor, your cover designer, and your formatter, they're not perfect. So when you go through and you receive it from them, you just might find errors. But you know what? It's great that you found them. And why? Because they can be fixed. The goal is aim for excellence over perfection. All right, let me say that again. You want to aim for excellence over perfection. See, our concern about perfection tendencies is that they could be stopping you from starting to write or even completing your book. See, if you work with a book coach, get an accountability partner, do your best to get your book in the best shape possible with some good support, and then make like the movie Frozen and let it go. And I will not be singing. So just be sure to let it go, let it go, let it go. All right.
That is so true. I think all of us have perfectionism in certain areas of our life, and we have to not let it rule us because it can become a little bit of an obsession to have to be perfect and to have to know everything and just do it right. I think I once read something by Stephen King when or someone like that, a famous writer, says just vomit on the page, which means lay out the ideas, get them out there. They don't have to be perfect, but you want to get your ideas out there. And you have to not aim for perfectionism at the beginning. When you get to the end, when you're ready to publish, you want to have an excellent book. But I doubt that anyone ever achieves 100% perfection. So don't expect that of yourself and don't let that stop you. Now, if you've seen yourself in any of these codes, well, that's why you're here, because you knew there was something that's stopping you. And I'm sure you were in at least one, if not more, because we've seen what you put in the chat. So what do you do now? Well, Trevor and I, we've had our respective encounters with codes. And like I said, it took me a really long time to get to where I wanted to be, but we found a way to overcome them. And we've also helped many aspiring authors to overcome what was stopping them. Like I said, I've been in business 22 years, and Trevor's been an accountability coach and a manager in businesses. And so we both had a lot of life experience. We wanted to find a way to take our experience and our skills to help more authors make this transition from what I call idea to Amazon. Now, my skills as a book coach and best-selling author, helping first-time authors get clear on what they're writing about and set them on a strategic path. Marries very well with Trevor's skills as an author and accountability coach, where he will support authors on sticking to their schedule, overcoming their codes, and celebrating their milestones. Yes, we have to have some fun while we're doing this, right?
Right.
So we've combined our talents to come up with a program. And frankly, it's unlike anything that either one of us have seen. And believe me, if I tell you how many programs and courses Trevor and I have both signed up for, some taken and some still lying on the shelf. But this one is very unique because it's very customized to each participant. And we already have people who have signed up, and we have people who are ready to get going because they know that they haven't been able to do this on our own. So we call our program Your Fabulous First Book Coaching Program. And if it's okay with you, we'd like to tell you just a little bit about it so you can decide if this might be a solution to your situation, whether you're stuck at the beginning, the middle, or you just need guidance anywhere along the way in your publishing journey.
All right. So now, who is this program for? So if you're an aspiring nonfiction author who feels called to write a book, yet you're not sure how or where to start, this program is for you. Now, if you're an expert in your field and would like to share your expertise or experience with a wider audience, but you're overwhelmed by the process, this program is for you. Or if you're an entrepreneur or service provider, such as a coach, speaker, a financial planner, a healthcare professional, and you may be just getting started with your business, what have you, and you know that you can stand out from your competition and attract clients with your book, but you can't seem to find the time to write, this program is for you. So this is for those aspiring authors that are out there. This call is definitely for you. So whether your book is self-help, how-to, business, could be spirituality, technical, or health, this program is for you.
Wow, it sounds like it's for a lot of people, isn't it? Well, let's tell you a little bit about what you get in the program. This is an 8-week program where you work with me, your book coach, and we work one-on-one through several Zoom calls. I'm not sure how many calls it could be because it's an individual program. 2 calls, 3 calls maybe. And then you'll have Trevor. He's an accountability coach that's going to have regular support for you throughout the program. Now, here's how it works. During the Zoom calls, you and I will work together to create a synopsis of your book so we know an overall picture of what the book is about. We'll create a book title. How cool is that? And we'll develop your table of contents and also create book structure and chapter structure, which are totally different. Then we're going to set up a regular writing schedule and your full writing and publishing timeline as well, from start to publication date with milestones along the way. So let's say you start on January 1st and you want to publish by March 31st, something like that. We'll have the whole timeline. And then when is chapter 1 done? When is chapter 2? So that's your timeline. Now, as accountability coach, Trevor is going to check in with you on the days that you say you're going to write. So if it's Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, you'll hear from him on those days. His role is to keep you on task, encourage you, and review your milestones. For example, yay, I finished the first draft of chapter 1. Awesome, let's celebrate. And you're going to develop a new mindset that focuses on sticking with your commitment, because your codes will show up, but now you know what your codes are and how you're going to handle them. And with Trevor, you're going to report on what's been working, what's not, and what kind of support you need. Again, because this is an individualized, personalized coaching program, it's going to be different for everyone. And you'll be able to also have general questions answered and discuss issues that have come up when we have a monthly live Q&A Zoom call.
But wait, there's more. We have some bonus gifts for you. You get PDF copies of Andrea's 2 best-selling books, Your Fabulous First Book, How to Write with Clarity, Confidence, and Connection, and My Fabulous First Book, a workbook companion to Your Fabulous First Book. These valuable tools will complement our support as you start to write your first book. So to summarize, by the end of 8 weeks, you'll have your roadmap to finishing a book that includes a clear synopsis for your book title, your chapter outline, which is a table of contents, your book and chapter structures, your regular writing schedule, a timeline for the writing and publishing journey, and much of your book written. Now, it is possible for you to finish your book in the 8 weeks of the program. If you're dictating a book, you could actually speak at least 5,000 words per hour. For a 50,000 word book, that would only take 10 hours, which you could accomplish in a few weeks. And you could use the rest of the 8 weeks of the program to refine and edit your book. However, mainly, it is up to you and how much time you have to put into this. So of course, we're not making guarantees, but we're working with you so that we meet or exceed your expectations. Now, as we work together, you'll feel more confident about writing and publishing your book with our support. And you'll be excited about your book that the book will open so many doors of opportunity. It'll help you expand your credibility, visibility, as well as profitability. So you'll be invited to, once you have a book out there, you'll be surprised because there may be invitations that come to be interviewed on podcasts, to teach for a workshop, or to speak on your topic. You can attract new clients to your business if that's one of your goals.
It's amazing what will happen to your life when you become a published author. I've heard people say it and I didn't believe it for myself, but I've been on a dozen podcasts already, several summits, and more to follow. Now, here's what we're doing. We're looking for, we only want to take 10 people in this program because it is time intensive for us. And we're looking for 10 aspiring nonfiction authors ready to write their book who have that big why. They know they need guidance and accountability to help them realize their dream of being a published author. Now, it's not for everybody, but some people know that that support will really help them reach their goal. So we suggest that you, if you're committed to this process and ready to do whatever is necessary to get to where you want to go, the program might be for you. With everything we told you that you get in the program, it's worth $3,497. However, we like to make it a little more affordable, so our regular program price is $19.97. Now, we have several people signed up already, but we want to reach 10 by the end of December. And so if you are among the first 10, we're offering a 50% discount, which means you only pay $9.97. That's quite a bargain considering you're getting a lot of support from two coaches who definitely make, we charge quite a bit for our time, but we wanted to do this because we're so invested in having people who have never written a book before get over whatever is stopping them, get over those humps. So we encourage you to sign up as soon as possible because, like I say, we're filling up the spots and we're only going to offer this 50% to the end of the year. So let me ask you, would you like to dissolve whatever has been standing in your way so you can finally write your best-selling book? And believe me, we can help you get there. Well, then we encourage you to sign up now. We want to thank you so much for listening, and we hope you've gotten some value from this webinar. If you're ready to get the personal support to guide you on your journey, then we encourage you to sign up for your fabulous first book program at bookcoachingprograms.com. Again, the first 10 people who sign up get the 50% discount. Now, I do have to say that if you feel comfortable talking to one of us before you sign up, we're very happy to offer a complimentary 30-minute meeting on Zoom. You can either sign up at talktoandrea.com or talkwithtrevor.com. And we always chat with people if they have issues about writing, and we definitely are open to talking with you if you want to discuss it before you sign up for the program. For those people who are watching a replay of this program, if you have any questions, please send them to bookcoachingprograms@gmail.com. All right. Wow. That was a lot of great information, and we're open to questions right now. And you can unmute yourself if you have a question. Trevor and I will be happy to answer anything that you want to ask us.
Excellent. All right. And so I'm going to stop the share and then I will, and then go ahead and ask your question.
Let me address Barbara, what she has asked in there, the self-publishing. That's all part of the process. And you can certainly work with one of us as an individual coach if the whole rest of the program is not appropriate for you. I worked with a client a few weeks ago and we sat together on Zoom and we loaded his program, his book into Amazon. Now there's a lot of steps that I could help you with: getting the ISBN number, getting the barcode, recommending cover designers, designing your Amazon page. Your Amazon page needs 7 keywords, 10 categories, a book description, and an author central, which includes a biography of you, and then also getting your reviews. So we can help you with all of that individually in private coaching sessions if you're interested in doing that as well. And you can definitely contact us through talktoandrea.com or talkwithtrevor.com. Did you want to ask us anything live, Barbara?
No, that was really, thank you for looking at my question. I mean, that's really my question,
I also do write
does-
marketing plans for people. I'm working on a marketing plan right now for a client. I don't do the implementation. In other words, I don't do the social media and the press releases, but I can write a marketing plan because I've done a lot of marketing. I've done live marketing. I've done online, offline, active, passive. So, in the year and a half that my book's been published, I've had a lot of experience. So, I can do all the different aspects of.
It's not so much.
Hold on, Andrea.
I don't need the marketing either as much as, what how do you self-publish? Which direction should I, should I go?
Well, sign up for a talk with me and then we can discuss how I can help you
Okay,
in my coaching practice.
okay, thank you.
The program is really good for people who haven't started writing the book.
Mhm.
And they need that beginning structure. They need the table of contents. They need the clarity.
And
So
I have
that's
to
what
tell
that's
you,
what we're offering in the program.
yeah, from giving my own webinars and coaching, that it's a really full program that you're offering at a very reasonable price. So
Thank you.
very
Appreciate that.
impressed.
Excellent. All right. Any other questions?
Don't you love it? We have Talk to Andrea and Talk with Trevor.
I like that.
All right.
Yeah, we both use Calendly as our scheduler.
Mhm.
And it's really important to have any kind of scheduling. We have to stay focused, we have to stay organized. And when we talk about scheduling your writing time, we're serious about that. If it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., that goes in your calendar, whether you use Google Calendars or I use Outlook Calendar. But I actually have that in my calendar, all my writing times. And in our program, of course, Trevor would be checking in with you on the days that you say that you're right, because we don't always keep appointments with ourselves. I know I'm definitely like that. I don't keep appointments with myself as seriously as I will keep appointments with other people. So we have to learn how to do that, how to make ourselves as important and not break those appointments that we said. It's a habit, right? It's creating a habit, saying I'm going to write every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. or something like that. You get up and you brush your teeth and you go write. So, did you have any questions, Jody or CJ or James? CD or James?
My book is probably 75% written with the table of contents, things like that. So I'm going to set up an appointment with you, Andrea, and see what the missing pieces are and what are my next steps.
What
So
is your topic, Jody?
it's about the Akashic records and my experience with opening the records related to my near-death experience and my deceased grandfather coming forth and leading me on a journey to his village in Mexico.
That's awesome. And I've had an Akashic record reading with Jody many, many years ago, and it was awesome. As a matter of fact, I just finished editing a book on tarot.
Oh, cool.
My client just released Clarity Tarot, however you say it.
Wow. So I'll be scheduling. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. CD and James, thank you for attending.
Thank you for having me. I just wanted to ask him more in regards to like the payment part. Do you guys have installments? Do you guys have it up front? How does that work?
What we could right now for the nines, well, we do have that up front for the 997 for the first 10 people. What we can do is we could possibly look and see, have a conversation. We have that Zoom call and a 30-minute call. That's something where we may be able to look in and see possibly if this is something that you definitely want to do, then we may be look and may be able to look and see if that's an installment that we can do.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
So set up some time to talk with us, and we can definitely work that out.
Okay, cool.
CD, what type of book are you writing?
Well, the book that it's a partnership. We already have the content together. We were looking more like where how do we get it? How do we publish it? Like who can publish it? Over the summer we did one of our ministries. We did I think it was like maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and we did pamphlets for each time that we met every day of the week, and we did different chapters. We covered one of the books in the Bible, but what we did was we kind of made it a more personalized experience for those who are attending the ministry, and we want to put that together and also include like cool little different like word searches and things of that nature that help them kind of identify what the content was in the book. So we have this stuff together. We just need to actually put it together and publish it so that we can move forward. But I personally have information and ideas about a book that I wanted to write in 2020, but just hadn't started yet. So I just thought this was like cool for us to come and kind of get structured on how we go forward with the pamphlet. Well, it's like a booklet and pamphlet, and then also to see what you are informing us to do in terms of writing our book. So it was a double blessing for me.
Excellent.
Well, you can set a chat with both Trevor and me, because we have different skills that we bring to the table. Trevor's very much into your area of expertise in the Bible and the ministry. He might be able to help you there, and I have a little more publishing experience. So any of you are welcome to chat with both of us.
Oh yeah,
Hey, awesome.
We go back. Excellent. Thank you. And
Yeah,
thanks
we complement each other because we have different skills that we bring to the table, so it works out well.
Excellent. All
And
right.
James, welcome. What are you writing about? James, can you unmute yourself?
He may have stepped away.
Okay,
All right. So any other questions?
you're welcome, Jody. Yeah, I'm one of those people who like to pack in information. I don't like to be, you can an hour webinar and you have 15 minutes of content. I like to just, if you walk away and you don't do anything else with us, you've got some content, and that's really valuable. But if you see that we have something that we can offer you, that's nice too. So either way.
Excellent.
By the way, check us out on LinkedIn if you're not associated with us yet on LinkedIn. Trevor puts out wonderful on LinkedIn and Facebook every day, beautiful videos. And I post on LinkedIn regularly. And I always post a lot of content so you can continue to learn. If I take all of my content in LinkedIn from the last year, I think I can put it together in a book, because and that's how Trevor's book is working out. His came from his videos. So you can get content from anywhere. So never let your content go unused. It can always be repurposed.
Right. And that includes posts. If you have written posts from your Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all those things there, not everybody can see it, but you can always go back to that. And those are things that you can use to help you with your book.
Yeah, we all have wonderful information and wonderful expertise, and we share it with people in different ways, because some people want to listen auditorially. By the way, Trevor is recording my book right now. So my book will be able to be available in auditory form, because some people want to walk or listen in their car. So we like to offer information in different ways. But remember, all of that content is yours, and you can repurpose it. I can write something on LinkedIn, and then I can make a blog out of it. I could put it into a newsletter. So your content is valuable, and always remember that.
All right.
Well, we thank you so much for coming today. What do you think, Trevor? Isn't that great?
Yeah, it was definitely good. And just as Andrea mentioned, I know a side benefit too would be that once we get your book out there and publish it, you're ready to do the audio book, we can help you with that, or I can record it for you. And Andrew can definitely continually help you out there, because you may want to beef it up. Because once you write one book, you now have the book written, because as you know, Andrea's got 2. She's got a 3rd one coming out. So it's just the start of something new. So we are excited to be at the beginning of the process, and we're there to celebrate every milestone with you and sharing, and we're grateful that you would allow us to share in your success. And that would be great. That's how you do it. You put it out there, and you say, okay, and so what you begin to do then, just as Andrew was doing, you would begin to take the title and put that over covers, put that around you, wherever your writing space is. All right, I want this poster. Now you're going to rename that poster. You're going to put that out. So once you begin to see that, you visualize that, then you notice you start thinking about that. You start going to bed with that. You start waking up with that. You start to get ideas everywhere. You actually visualize it. So visualizing it, sitting somewhere different, sitting couch, putting it on your mirror, whatever it is. But once you put that, you start to put that out there and surround yourself with that, watch how quickly you get to your goal. You'll be amazed because you'll exceed your expectation.
Well, thank you again for coming. You have our links to bookcoachingprograms.com. You'll be getting a few follow-up emails from Eventbrite, and you know how to get us, talkwithtrevor.com and talktoandrew.com. And thank you for spending the time with us. Have a
All right.
wonderful holiday season, and we hope to catch up with you soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye.
Good seeing you all. Thank you for coming.